The COVID funds.
Yes.
Government must account for it.
I'll come back to you on this because I would pick your thoughts on some of the reactions that have come.
Okay.
The information minister has spoken about it. He thinks it's an attack on democracy. We've heard the member of parliament for Inshayesu, and he says that no matter how bad the situation is today, it was worse yesteryear. You've also heard Katie Amon, who's actually asking that the police should invite the good old prof for some questioning because he is preparing the minds of Ghanaians for something that, Ghanaians should not accept. Let me go on the line and speak to Adib Saani. Adib Saani is a security analyst. Let's find out whether he also has any issues with what Professor Raymond had talked about, or he's going to put what Professor Raymond had talked about has said in its prosper security perspective. Adib Saani, good morning. It's good to have you on the show, sir.
My pleasure always.
Well, and I want to thank you very much for accepting to talk to us this morning on Inside Pages. Now, Mr. Saani, I'm sure that you have followed quite extensively what the good old professor said. And I don't know whether I may have to read to you again what exactly the good old professor said. But if I don't have to, please go ahead to tell me what you make of what Professor Raymond Atuguba has said and whether you think there's any cause for worry.
Well, Moro, I'm not a lawyer, but with the little legal 101 knowledge I have, I've taken the trouble to go through, watch the video over and over again, about 10 times. And trust me, I tried finding faults with it, but I just couldn't find those faults. Rather, what I saw in the video is a legitimate, candid advice. In fact, free consultancy to government to rise up to the occasion and deal with the plethora of socio-economic and political deficits that we're going through as a country. If not, the possibility that this might happen would really come to pass. You see, the problem is, if things happen and we talk about it, guess what happens? People call us and ask us, you as an expert, you as a lawyer, you as a media practitioner, when it was happening, why were you silent? And how come you're talking about it today? And I couldn't have agreed with the lawyer in the studio more. You see, if you police what people say, anybody who mentions something, then you arrest the person. I'm sorry to say you are no longer a democracy, but you are a primitive state. You have returned Ghana to those primitive era. Even the PNDC was criticized. Now, we have made the word coup a taboo. How dare you mention the word coup? Since when did the word coup become a taboo? We have so many lessons to learn from other jurisdictions.
Yes, but doesn't the context matter? You're saying that since when did coup become a taboo?
Unfortunately, I cannot hear you, Moro.
Oh, sorry.
I can't
hear you. Can you hear me? Mr. Saani, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Right. I'm saying that you say that you're wondering why all of a sudden coup has become a taboo in this country. And I'm saying that, and I'm asking you whether context doesn't matter.
Well, it does matter. But so far as I am concerned, like I said, I'm not a lawyer, but even if the context points to you trying to inspire coup, they say a prima facie case should have been established. The intention, do you really have the intention? Because trust me, we are so knee-jerk in our approach. So, for example, Oliver Barker talks about coup and he would do it himself. I would have expected the authorities to sit, in the back, place surveillance on him and establish whether indeed he intended, carrying out that coup. But immediately he arrived at the airport, he's arrested. And we have illegitimized the word coup, and I don't think that's going to help because you are pushing more people into silence. People would have legitimate concerns they cannot voice out, and when you have a domestic issue and you get to the councillor, what the councillor first does is for you to let it out. You say all that is on you, get it off your chest. At least it's one step towards easing the tension. But if people are suffering and they cannot talk, then it builds up in them, and one day a little spark with an inspirational leader can spell doom for the country. My issue is not even with coup. is with people revolution. Let's not forget that something as minor as the price of bread going up in Sudan is what ended Umar al-Bashir. The Arab Spring, which started in Tunisia, a young man is selling by the roadside. The city authorities came to clear him. He was not happy about it. He burnt himself, and that is what sparked the Arab Spring. So in the midst of all these, economic issues, including widespread unemployment, NAPCO employees are not paid. They go on a demonstration, and you tell them their demonstration would rather affect them. The violation of the rule of law, the violation of Article 23 of the Constitution, the inconsistent application of the law, the seeming attack on press freedom with the over 30 media houses that were closed using all sorts of laws, and that is very characteristic with despotic regimes in other parts of the world. They use the law to go after their political innocence and with political opponents, and that is exactly what we are seeing in the country. And that, I must say, is quite disturbing, and of course creates those conditions for a coup to happen, in as much as we pray it doesn't happen. But we have to wake up to the stark reality that these are what causes coups. You sit in the trotros, and I always say it, politicians would have to disguise themselves, sit in the trotros, sit in the taxis, go to the markets, and listen to what people say about them. Recently, I was in my vehicle just around the National Theatre traffic. A hawker came across me, looked at me in the face. I looked at the person. Then she was like, no, it was actually he, Minister of Armed Robber. So I was like, me. Some ministers of armed robbers. No. I mean, so that should tell you the rage, the anger in the people. And you cannot talk about this, for crying out loud.
Now, Mr. Adib Saani, look, if you were in government, and I mean government as in central government, executive arm of government, won't you be concerned about what the good old professor has said, looking at what is happening in the sub-region? Doesn't the government have any legitimate basis to be alarmed, to feel jittery, to be scared when the word coup is mentioned?
Okay, so they shouldn't be jittery about the word. They should be jittery about the context, like you said. What would create the condition for coup to happen? So I see this as a unique opportunity for the government to get introspective, to look at the nuances of the issues that have been raised, take immediate steps to address them. But what you see government communicators do is, and it seems to be a consistent pattern on social media, oh, during JM's time it was worse. Believe it or not, during JM's time, this is your second term, and you are still blaming JM for our woes. I mean, when Bush went to war in Afghanistan, and
right, the information minister, for instance, says that it appears that there's some commentary with what he calls anti-democratic insinuations that are tended to undermine the democratic dispensation we're currently enjoying. Is that how you also see it? Or you don't see it like that?
I don't see it like that, because the good old professor didn't come out to say, hey, I want coup to happen today. He put it into context. His commentary was quite factual, and it's very much in line with other countries that have to, grapple with coup in the immediate past.
Right.
There are some legitimate issues on the ground, but what I see as anti-democratic than any other thing is corruption, is expenditure, COVID-19 expenditure that has to be proved and have to be shut down. Meanwhile, the expenses, the money belongs to the people. You spend it and you don't want to account for it. That is anti-democratic. What I see as anti-democratic is the seeming culture of silence. Okay, I am not a politician. Okay, I approach the issues as neutrally as possible. But what I see is a, a well orchestrated pattern of silence against critics using what the information minister just said. And I find it quite unfortunate. People said worse things, as a matter of fact, during JM's era. So if he also had to arrest people, I don't think we would have been where we are today.
Okay.
And what is happening is also a matter of grave concern to me, because it will set in motion a very dangerous precedent. So the next time, power is transient, by the way. The next time another government comes and also decides to police social media to the extent of even the Ghana Police Service doing things beyond the remit of the law, it is something really, worrying.
Okay, let me come back. Please stay on, and let me come back in house and continue my conversation with the lawyer Tukwekwe. He's the head of legal at Solidaire Ghana, and the Solidaire Ghana is the civil society organization that gave the platform to Professor Raymond Atogba to make that presentation or to deliver that presentation. Mr. Tukwekwe, I've also
And making all sorts of reckless statements, are behaving like a man who ejaculates before the woman arrives.
Hey, I don't know what that means.
But
before you continue with the ejaculation and analysis, let me speak to Adib Saani. Fine, let me just wrap up with Adib Saani. Adib Saani is still on Zoom, and I just want us to finish with him, and then he can take leave of us because he has other things to attend to. So, Mr. Adib Saani, some MPs, we've heard in Shai's MP, we've heard Katie Hammond, who are asking the state security to invite Professor Raymond Atogba for some questioning. Do you think that's the way to go?
I couldn't have also agreed with Prof more, because we seem to be attacking the messenger rather than the message. When people say things in this country, before we analyze, we ask ourselves whether it is NDC or MPP before we do the biased analysis. We are so politically divided in this country that it has made some people lose their sense of direction or ability to even decipher the truth from the false. It is quite worrying. We have gotten to this, knowing full well that our democracy is entrenched. We have come a long way as a country, especially since the inception of the Fourth Republic. But I also see why they are acting in this manner. One, they are trying to divert attention from the myriad of challenges we're facing in this country. Two, perhaps they've also lost touch with reality. I mean, the French Revolution, Marie Antoinette, when they went to tell her that the people are revolting because they said they are hungry, they don't have food. And she told them to go tell the people to eat cake. They should buy them cake, But what she doesn't know is cake is an advancement to bread. So that showed, of course, how remote she was to the people. And that is exactly what I see with politics in Ghana. Third, I think we are, like I indicated earlier, I'm comfortable to say, we are returning to a primitive era when people's words are closely guarded, and whatever we say would be used against you, whether it is justified, whether it is unjustified. So we need to be very careful in this country in order not to set in motion a very dangerous precedent on which some other governments that might come after this would ride on. Because what I'm seeing is not good for our democracy. And like I indicated, the worry is not with coup, but it's with a people revolution. But it needs two things to thrive. One, an inspirational leader, and the second thing is spark. So we better watch out.
I want to thank you very much, Adib Saani, for accepting to talk to us on Inside Pages this morning. Have a good day, sir. Adib Saani is a security analyst joining us on Inside Pages to give us his perspectives on Professor Raymond Atogba's presentation at the Irata Hotel, where he looked at a reviewed 1992 Constitution and its impact on Ghana's economy and looking forward. So, Atogba, before you take leave of us, you were